Hello, everyone. My name is Lucian. Most of you know me from Twitter as Triangle Investor, and my guest today is my fellow speculator, Mr. Terry Papineau. Terry, great to have you.
Thank you, Lucian. Thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here.
Thanks. Terry, let's kick off with some questions about, of course, uranium. Do you think that uranium is one of the best investments for the months to come?
Yeah, I certainly do. And I put my money where my mouth is, because as everyone knows now, I'm very, very bullish on uranium.
Yeah.
It's taking a longer time to unfold than I thought it would, and than I hoped it would. But it's okay, because during that time, the situation in this sector and the catalysts have just been piling up and piling up and piling up. So yes, I think that it's like the calm before the storm, I believe, is where we're at right now.
Agreed.
Because the contracting cycle has picked up to a rate that we've never seen in the past at least 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And so the pounds contracted to date this year are high, and we're just halfway through the year. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very strong year for the contracting, which is what we've been waiting for. Those contracts are being signed at prices that are higher than what are being reported, obviously, the term prices. And the spot price is really indicative, in my opinion, and really, how could I say it, a positive indicator of where we're at. Because just to refresh our memories, since Russia has invaded Ukraine, the entire economy, the entire global financial markets have been in turmoil. On top of that, governments have been trying to control inflation with raising interest rates. So there's a lot of unanswered and uncertainty in the markets. So money has been taken off the table in the markets. And you would expect during that period of time of uncertainty that the price of the commodity itself would go down. And when it comes to uranium, it's absolutely the contrary. It's stabilized. It was it was around $48-49 a pound, and now it's stabilized at around the $55-56 price level. And that's after the latest entrant into the financial entrant into the commodity space, Zuri Invest, with their physical uranium trust. So they did some purchasing in May and June, and we think that purchasing is done now. So we've seen the price of uranium, excuse me, kind of stabilize at the $55-56, with almost no trading, almost no purchasing or activity on the spot market itself. And other than let's say the past year, anytime where purchasing started going down on the spot market, the spot price itself would drop like a rock. And the fact that we're making new bottoms, and those bottoms are higher at every time. To me, that's indicative that the spot market is extremely thin. You have people that are much more knowledgeable than I am in that area that are saying the same thing. You could take Grant Isaac's word for it. He's the CFO for Cameco, the world's second largest uranium company. So yeah, I think that the other thing is we've seen the equities in the past few days in the green, and so more than one day in the green. So and that's not typical for July. It's not typical for this period of time. So it looks like the things are setting up for maybe a very good fall like we had in 2021. So nobody has a crystal ball, but that's the sense that I'm getting right now.
Excellent point. Terry, when did you discover uranium? What was the first stock you ever bought? First uranium stock?
I started my research into the sector in 2016. It was after I saw someone, an analyst, talking about Cameco which was a Canadian company that has, some of the world's most valuable mines. They've got very, very good assets. Anyways, everybody knows Cameco, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But that's how I got started. So I started doing research on the uranium sector, and then saw, and this was in 2016, which was like at the absolute low. I think the spot price of uranium back then was $18 a pound. So, there was just no interest in the sector at all, which is what I really look forward to. Like I look for that. Like I don't want to go into a sector that's dead and is going to stay dead forever. But
Same here.
from all the research that I was doing, it was clear that that situation was going to change at some point in time in the future. And I didn't think it was going to take this long, but it's okay, because as I said, the situation just got better and better and better and better. And the first stock I ever bought was Cameco.
Yeah.
Cameco was and I think at that time Cameco was selling for $9 or $11 a share Canadian. So, and you look at what they're trading now. So just Cameco itself has been a great trade over that period of time.
Yeah. How do you organize your portfolio? I mean, in the term of percentages, what percentages are uranium explorers? What percentage is developers, and what percentage are the producers?
I would say about 60% of my portfolio is explorers, and 40% are developers or past producers.
Producer. Mhm.
Past producers, yes. And so my explorers, I've focused only on the Athabasca Basin, and I've done that for a few reasons. But mainly because my trading platform that I was using at the time, it was difficult for me to buy shares of Australian companies that are trading on the ASX. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so so that's I focused my portfolio for the explorers in the Athabasca Basin, and the developers, past producers, are in Canada, in the United States, and in Africa.
I would like if we can discuss certain companies, and if you can give your opinion on their projects, people, and the upside potential in these stocks. Let's start with, you mentioned Athabasca, so let's start with Athabasca names. How would you comment on Denison Mines?
Denison Mines has a Denison Mines. What they're doing, they're trying to extract uranium using the ISR method, which has never been done in the Athabasca Basin for many different reasons. You need to have the right rock type, the right soil. The water is an issue in the Athabasca Basin. So, but when they announced that they were going to explore using this method to extract uranium, it really rocked the Canadian Athabasca Basin uranium world, sort of thing, because it was unheard of, and it was kind of risky.
Yes.
Risky in the sense that, can it be done? And so, and that, I would say that's about 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, that they announced that, and they started to
I think even 5, sorry.
Oh, 5. Well, there you go. So that's how time flies in the uranium sector. But and since then, they've been very, very successful to demonstrate that they can successfully extract uranium using that process. And I remember specifically, and what I do is I have a pretty hands-on approach to my investments. I go to different mining shows. I show up at mining company offices and stuff like that, and I call CEOs and just to do
protect your investments,
to do my due diligence.
Yeah.
And David Cates, I met him several times, and I remember the first time we talked about his decision, or the company's decision, to use ISR to extract uranium. And he had said that, if everything went well, that they might be able to start extracting using that process of extracting uranium in 2024. And so I think 2024 now might be a little bit too soon, but I remember posting that somebody said, well, who's going to be able to produce in such a time? And I said, well, Denison. And that person responded, Denison, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. I said, well, the way that they're progressing, if all things go well, they might be able to start extracting uranium in 2024. Now, I don't know if they'll still be able to do that, but because they chose that method and because they're being successful, I feel very strongly that Denison should be able to start producing uranium in this upcoming bull cycle.
Yeah, I agree. I think, frankly, I think Denison will be the only one who will produce in this decade. Some say Nexgen, but I'm not so sure. That brings us to a next question about Nexgen. What's your take on Nexgen?
Well, Nexgen has one of the most valuable ore deposits out of any commodity, period.
Yeah.
And so, that deposit is absolutely going to be mined at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Now, their their method of mining will be completely different than Denison's. They'll be using conventional mining with,
Yeah.
So underground mining with a shaft. But I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off in this decade. There's still a lot of hurdles to jump. I mean, the economics of the project are phenomenal. Is it doable? Yes. Asking me to see like that far in the future is difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is doable, but I think that it would be a little bit more challenging because you have to, get all the permits, get the financing done, start building the thing. So, but it's doable. Will it be done? Well, we'll wait and see if the management can pull it off.
Yeah. What about Fission?
Fission, they also have a good deposit. I think that Fission is not getting the respect it deserves, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, the deposits is underneath a lake and blah blah blah," and so with Ross McElroy, the CEO, very well respected gentleman in the industry. They've put a plan in to be able to go and mine that deposit. So I think that will be mined as well eventually. Again, the same sort of comment as Nexgen with regards to not certain if that will be begin mining that deposit this decade.
Let's discuss Athabasca explorers. First one is F3 Uranium. You probably saw the news from day before yesterday with the JR zone expansion and the strongest radioactivity to date. How do you comment their results?
Well, F3 uranium is actually what their results and their story is actually why I shifted my portfolio from, maybe more conservative like chemical producers and to a higher concentration of explorers.
Yeah.
And again, I've said this many times, and you used the exact right word at the beginning of your show when you said we speculate. Putting money into explorers is speculation. Putting money into explorers is speculation. F3, like I said, is one of those good news stories. So I focused in about nine to 10 explorers, not knowing if any one of them would hit uranium. But I thought, if one of them can hit something that's of importance and that's mineable, and then the increase in the market cap of that company could be so significant that the returns would be good enough to mitigate some of the losses from my other explorers.
Yeah.
Now, I was also speculating that when the uranium bull market would start running, that tide would lift all boats. So even though, an exploration company would not find a deposit, but because they were in the uranium sector and there's so very little companies in uranium sector, I was speculating again that, when the bull market really starts running, that most of the companies, if not all in that sector, will see money flowing into the shares and their market cap going up. And so I was basically speculating on both those things.
Yeah.
F3 uranium, I bought those shares, started buying those shares in 2017. And up until last year, and even like last spring, the spring of 2022, I was looking at my F3 shares and going, oh, I've been holding this share. It's like they haven't really done much. Last spring and the year before that in 2021, when the uranium market really started heating up, I felt it was time for the explorers, to start exploring again, because here we are starting to see steam in our sector, and F3 was just kind of slow getting off the blocks. And I'd met Dev. I called Dev a couple times, had a couple discussions with him, had a discussion with him in the spring of 2022, and just asking myself, should I keep these shares or should I sell them? And when I spoke to Dev, that reassured me, so I kept the shares. And sure enough, they drilled in the fall of 2022, got those great results. And immediately we saw an increase in the market cap of that company. And since then, the share price has fallen down. And they came out with good news. I don't think it was this week, but last week or the week before, with a news release. And the market, it was last week. And the market basically ignored the news. Like the share price and market cap almost didn't do anything. But here they are, having good results again, expanding those zones. It's still open, and so that could be a very, very good news company, and coming out with really good news at a time where the uranium market might start picking up again. Money might start flowing into uranium equities again. So this is a very comparable story to ISO Energy. And ISO Energy, the exact same thing. I started buying that company when the market cap was about 40 million. Well, they're sitting at about 300 million right now. With almost no money flowing into uranium equities. And at the peak in the fall of 2021, ISO Energy, the market cap was 600 million. So that deposit is valuable. As the price of uranium goes up, it's going to become even more valuable. It's a mineable deposit. It's a very good, I'm talking about ISO Energy right now.
Yeah.
So F3 uranium, in my mind, is very, very, very similar story to that. So if you look at F3 with a market cap of about 130 million right now, and ISO Energy with a market cap of 300 million. Yes, we know how big the deposit is for ISO Energy. It's about 50 million pounds. How big will F3's deposit be? I don't know. That's why it's called speculation. But the fact that they keep getting good results is a very good indication, and again, is going to be a good news story for my portfolio.
Yeah, agreed. One other success story, they released a news release yesterday with also some terrific, great results, Baselode Energy.
Yep.
And
so Baselode,
yeah,
it's not a similar story because their deposit is very, very different.
it's shallow.
So not only is it shallow, but if you compare their results, so they've got some of the uranium they're hitting are grades of 1 to 2%.
Yeah, small.
Now, and when you compare those percentages to worldwide averages, that is very high grade uranium, but it's nothing compared to ISO's results or F3's results or or Denison's deposits or Nexgen's deposit, where the percentages, or Cameco's deposits. So that's why like people are going, oh, 1-2% in the Athabasca Basin. Okay, yes, fair point. However, it's very shallow. So they've located it just under the overburden.
Yeah,
Now,
some 30 meters.
yeah, so there's a lot of ifs here with this company. If there's enough uranium there to spend the money to build the road, to remove the overburden, to mine that deposit, that could be some sort of alternative sometime in the future. But again, there's many ifs, and those are all big ifs. But the fact that they're continuing to hit uranium, and the fact that some of the pods that they've identified are bigger than what they initially thought is again good news, and it's still open in several directions. So that continues to be a good news story, and as long as the news flow is positive, again, when the uranium equities start running with the uranium spot and term price, this could again be another good news story. But for me, I started buying. I bought the first shares in Baselode like the month that they were created, when the company when the market cap of that company was 5 million. So I was lucky to get in enough at a time where the prices that I paid back then, even though the market has lost a lot of value and those shares have lost a lot of value, I'm still up in almost all of my positions.
That's great. Do you own Skyharbour?
I do. Yes, I do.
What do you think about their story?
I think that it's I think that it's a very well-run company. Jordan Trimble is a very smart guy. He knows the uranium sector very well. I think that they've got great people on the board of directors. I think the fact that Denison Mines is a major shareholder,
Yeah,
and the fact that they're there to make money. And what I like about Skyharbour is the way that they've approached. They have a really different approach. They have the prospect generator model.
yeah,
They have a lot of projects. They partner with other companies to come in and they kind of sell those projects to those companies by them giving them money and giving them shares into their companies, and for them to be able to, the new company, to own the deposit. They have a schedule of things they have to do in 3, 4, 5 years, money they have to spend on the project to develop, blah, 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 blah. I
yeah.
think it was a very, very, very smart, and it not that it's unique, but it's pretty unique compared to the other exploration companies in the Athabasca Basin. And not only have they been successful in like, let's say, farming these projects off to new companies, they also have staked new land. So they have a lot of projects with a very, very big land package. And I think that company, again, in the upcoming uranium bull market, and when money comes back in the equities, I think it's going to do very well.
Yeah, agreed. One final in the Athabasca Junior Standard Uranium. What's your
Yeah.
take on them?
Well, Standard Uranium, people know my take on Standard Uranium. I own shares in Standard Uranium, and people still comment that I'm the Standard guy, because at one point I did an interview, and I think it was in the spring of 2021, and Antonio asked me, like, what's your number one pick right now? And so I own a basket of explorers. And at that specific period in time where other explorers had not made a discovery, and when I looked at the share structure, when I looked at management, when I looked at the share price and the market cap, that company was very undervalued compared to the other companies.
Yeah.
So So I said, well, my top pick in the explorers is Standard Uranium, and people are still saying he's the standard guy. What happened to that? Please listen to the entire interview before you make a comment on YouTube. But so and why it Standard was and still is in my list of companies is that, you know, the CEO and management, they were doing what they said we're doing. They were raising money, they were trying to find uranium, they were drilling, and it's extremely difficult to find uranium in the Athabasca Basin. You
That's
know,
true.
it's very difficult, and people, you know, I guess because of the success of ISO Energy, because of the success of F3 and maybe Baselode and other companies, they think that each time you put a drill in the ground, you know, that it's going to hit uranium. Well, unfortunately, Standard did not hit significant mineralization. And so they find themselves in a situation right now where their market cap has decreased significantly because people have bailed. Because, you know, they just want, you know, good results all the time. So people have bailed. A lot of people have sold their positions, which drove the price of the share down. And they're in a situation right now where, you know, at a time when they should be an exploration company should be drilling and exploring, uh, you know, they need money for that. And the money that you need to be spending now, you raise it, you know, in January, February, March, April of this year. And the market conditions to raise money at that period of time were absolutely horrendous. So I think that Standard was not successful in raising money to be able to explore this summer. So I think they decided to also take the prospect generator model approach,
Yes, yes.
and they have a few projects there. So I think they just decided to hunker down for the summer, or for the time being, I should say. I don't want to put, you know, be not to say something that's not accurate.
Okay.
But so hunker down and just wait for you know, the sector and the conditions to turn. And so and their share price has suffered in that period of time, and the market cap has fallen dramatically.
What's your lowest market cap stock? I mean, among Athabasca juniors you own in your portfolio?
Basin Uranium.
Basin Uranium.
Yeah.
Can you comment on them?
Well, they're the same. It's the same. They're an exploration company. They optioned off one of the properties from Skyharbour on which they're exploring. So and they're just raising money, trying, you know, putting money into the ground, trying to
Early
find
stage.
uranium. The same, it's one of those uranium speculation plays that I've invested in, that I've speculated in.
Yes, that's the big difference. Consolidated Uranium, your take on them?
Well, Consolidated Uranium, so I don't put them in they're kind of explorer, but not really, because they buy projects already where there is uranium.
Yeah.
And there, I think that Philip Williams, that the CEO of that company, is an extremely sharp and smart guy. And what he's doing with that company is extremely interesting, and it's been a great ride for me with that company so far. And in the sense that, for example, one of their projects was located in Labrador, and what they did is they spun off that project into a new company called Labrador Uranium, which has now changed its name to Latitude Uranium.
Yeah.
And so that's really interesting, and they've got a couple of really interesting projects there. So now I've got shares in this new company from the Consolidated Uranium shares. But the deal that he made with Energy Fuels last year, to buy a couple of Energy Fuels projects in the United States, but not only buy the projects, also secure milling agreements. So not this is a sleeper company. So Consolidated Uranium could be producing uranium once Energy Fuels turns on their uranium line at their mill, White Mesa Mill. Like, Consolidated Uranium could start mining uranium and then processing the material at that mill at the end of next year in 2025. And they're actually doing work to get up and running, and people just do not realize that. It's, people are very happy with Global Uranium and Encore and other companies that are moving towards production. And they've kind of just completely ignore or don't understand what Consolidated Uranium is doing. So that's one of my good.
Yeah, probably the latter. They don't understand.
Yeah.
One other interesting company in Athabasca that has massive land holdings is CanAlaska Uranium. Do you have them in your portfolio?
Yeah, I do. So CanAlaska Uranium, when I started investing in that or speculating in that company, Peter Dassler was the CEO, met him a few times, liked the story. They're a little bit similar to Skyharbour. They also use this prospect generator model. They have many different properties, many different projects. And now, like one of their projects is jointly with Denison Mines. Another one is with Orano. They have their own flagship project. They had other properties, nickel properties in Manitoba. They had diamond properties in the Northwest Territories, not Northwest Territories, but Nunavut and up north, northern Canada.
Yeah.
So and now the CEO Corey Bellick, I think he's doing a great job. He comes from Cameco, knows the uranium game, knows how to find uranium, and they've got some deposits. They've got some good results, and now they're doing more drilling this summer. So expect news to come out from them. So, those are all good potential, good news stories in this speculative portfolio of mine.
Yeah. One other name that has bled so far, the stock was pretty beaten. That is Purepoint Uranium. What's your take on them?
Yeah, Purepoint Uranium, similar story, exploration company. They have many different projects. Now, all of these companies, F3 Uranium, for example, just to go back to F3, right now they've hit uranium on their Patterson Lake North project.
Yeah.
But they own like 10 other properties, elsewhere in the Athabasca Basin that is ripe for exploration. And so that's what I like about some of these exploration companies. It's not just one property, and Purepoint Uranium is in that same boat. So they had a property where they hit uranium. It was online with the Nexgen and the Fission deposits, and Cameco was their partner in that company. And so every year, they meet with Cameco to see if Cameco will continue to fund exploration or drilling projects, programs on that specific property. But they have other properties of their own, and so they're exploring. They have hit elevated radioactivity in some of their drilling programs, but I think they're kind of in a similar boat where, because they didn't come out with just eye-popping results, on their first drill program, they haven't been getting some of the love that the other uranium exploration companies have been getting. But I still own quite a few shares of that company, and they keep exploring, and who knows what the future will bring. But the Frostad brothers there that are running the company, they're doing a good job. They've got a good land package. They've got a good exploration schedule. They might, I don't know how successful they were in raising money, but it's just another one of those. Tomorrow they could come out with news that could really change the market cap of that company. So exploration is speculation, and so I think that because they haven't got those eye-popping results. They haven't received any love in the uranium equities, but that could change overnight.
Yeah. Let's move a little on the south in US. Let's discuss some US companies. The first one will be UEC, Uranium Energy Corp. What's your take on them?
A very, very, very well-run company. And you look at the CEO, Amir Anani, like a very smart guy, a very savvy guy with Scott Melby on the board. Scott Melby has a wealth of experience in the uranium sector. They've got a pipeline of projects that are fully permitted, just ready to go whenever the market signals that it's time to start to bring those operations online. One of the things that company has been criticized for is some of the CEO pay package and like the bonus and the salary and so that's been, especially in a time when the uranium price was down, the share price was down, shareholders was losing money. So to see the CEO earning a high salary like that, there was a lot of criticism. But I mean, there's another guy that's put his money where his mouth is. They've done a number of deals, both in the U.S., like to buy the American assets of Uranium One, and to buy the Hathor project, the Rough Rider deposit in the Athabasca Basin. So now they're fully diversified, just ready to go, ready to turn the switch on. And I think that because they're in the United States, and that's where the largest stock market is in the United States. And when this uranium money starts to flow back into uranium equities, I think that the American names are going to do very, very well. And this is it's a company where it's liquid. I think it's going to do very well. So great management, great assets, ready to go. In the United States, so where the majority of uranium is consumed. Well, not the majority, but it's the country with the most nuclear power capacity.
Do you know anything about Anfield Energy?
Not very much, no, so I can't comment.
Okay. How about UR Energy?
Yes, great management, great assets. I don't own shares in the company, so I can't provide any insight.
Okay, but one stock that I believe you own is also from Dev, Strathmore Plus in Wyoming. Do you have them in your portfolio?
I do not own shares in that company. I'm familiar with with what they're doing there. So again, I don't want to comment too much more on that.
Okay, let's wrap it up with the companies. I want to ask a question. When you are doing analysis on uranium companies, what are the most important metrics you take in consideration?
Well, so the information that's available, one of the things that just to go back to F3, and when I said that they did like almost nothing for quite a few years there, even when I went on the website, like information on their website in 2017 was not being updated regularly and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I mean, to have like reliable information is important. For me, the jurisdiction was important. Because my strategy shifted from, just being in the uranium sector with some of the best names, I increased my risk factor quite a bit by, moving most of my money into explorers. And for me, that because that was my strategy, the best place for me to find that home run was in the Athabasca Basin. So jurisdiction in this case. The second was the land package. Like when the bigger the land package, the let's say the better the chances of finding something. Then the putting money where your mouth is. So like, you know, raising money, we want to find uranium. We're really dedicated towards that. That was important as well in the exploration companies. So to see them raise money, and that money needs to be put into the ground. And when the company is doing that, because I understand it's speculation. I understand you're not going to hit uranium on every drill hole or ever. So a CEO with a team that understood how to find uranium, that had success in the past, that had a good land package, that raised the money, put that money in the ground. That was, basically how I was deciding to speculate with my money.
Similar question. Red flags. What are your top 2 or 3 red flags when doing due diligence on a company that, let's say, keeps you away from buying?
Well, red flags is when someone says something and or I ask a question and they avert the question, or they don't answer it quite fully, or I have a feeling that they're hiding something, or if I find out that we had a conversation and it's not exactly what you said, that's a red flag for me. And it has happened in the past where I've sold shares in companies when that occurred. So that's my biggest red flag. Like not do. I think so far that's been my only red flag. So I only have one so far.
What about skin in the game? Is that an important metric for you to see that CEOs have a share in the company that is more than 1%, or do you see that as an important metric?
It's very important. And that's a question that I asked all of them. And again, you ask the question, and sometimes I don't know how many shares I got, being vague on that, or like finding out that, oh, they bought shares in another company, but not buying shares of their own company. That's another red flag. So I guess that would be a second red flag. But also at the same time, I understand that for some of these CEOs, especially exploration companies, like, one of the things that I'm looking for is like, you can't be paying yourself a big salary, running an exploration company when the money coming in is money that should be put into the ground. So they don't have a lot of money to spend on high salaries. So a lot of them are paid in shares or options, that kind of thing, which I understand fully. And I also understand that some of them, because these salaries are not as high, with younger families starting, they might have as not a lot of liquid powder to be able to buy money. So I understand that as well. But and sometimes they're also like, when they have information that they're blocked from being able to buy on the open market. So, but to have skin in the game really shows, like Global Atomic is one of the best examples.
Definitely, yeah. Stephen has skin in the game.
So,
yeah.
And a good CEO, and I know that you interview CEOs once in a while, but that's a question you should really ask them. And if any CEOs listen to this, when someone asks you that question, you should know the exact amount of shares that you own in a company. I do. You should be able to give us an answer.
Excellent point, Terry. Yeah. Terry, are you still 100% in uranium, or you have diversified your portfolio?
Still 100% uranium.
Conviction guy. I like it. But what are the other commodities that you are bullish on besides uranium, and maybe consider to invest in?
Well, to tell you the truth, I have not looked into other commodities. Because I'm 100% uranium, which a lot of people think I'm crazy for. which I probably am. But so I'm not really actively looking at anything at the moment because I'm just waiting for this to play out. And you know, I don't have to rely on that money to do the things that I enjoy doing. So I'm just, you know, patiently waiting this to play out. So I really can't comment on any other commodity at this time.
Okay, Terry, thank you very much for being my guest, and I wish you all the luck with uranium since I'm in it, not 100%, but 80%. So our interests are aligned. Thank you very much, Terry.
It's been my pleasure, Lucian, anytime.
Thank you.